we come here for 2 reasons, God and games. It's something that just like hits you right in the heart.
Not that I thought racism was completely over, but like definitely didn't see this coming.
God just had a plan.
Hey Thomas, welcome to Couch Conversations. So it's rare that even we are close, but then you think about like how close you are with Ryan and Jamie and at St. Paul together.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it started in kindergarten with me and Jamie, and so yeah, God just had a plan.
Jamie was here and he told the story about when you were in kindergarten and you were playing football.
Yep.
And you stopped and yelled at everyone to tell everyone to stop quarreling.
Yeah, bickering.
Bickering, that's what he said, quarrel.
Yeah.
Bickering. What kindergartner uses?
Because that's what my mom or like some daycare lady would say to me, quit your bickering. So then, you know, you're a little kid, tell someone else, quit bickering. Yeah.
So you were just always that take charge, tell people what to do kind of personality or what?
Yeah. No, I mean, I got kicked out of my first daycare because a little girl I got kicked out because a little girl told me her grandpa died. And she's like, you know, like, I'm really sad about that. And I was like, oh, did he believe in Jesus? She's like, no. I was like, well, he's in hell. He's burning in hell.
You can't tell a little girl her grandpa's in hell?
It's the truth.
Oh my goodness. Because technically, I mean, you're not wrong.
That's the whole thing. So.
But you probably need to work on that, like thinking before you talk.
Love.
You've gotten better at that?
Love, yes.
But like,
yes.
High school Thomas
angry
had zero control. This is how I explain high school Thomas to people.
Okay.
It comes up every once in a while.
I'm excited.
There are so many great stories, first of all.
Yes.
Of high school Thomas.
Yes.
Whether it was down at Driven on a Saturday night or at camp, all this different stuff. But the way that I explain it, right, because it's hard to explain high school Thomas. You just reacted to things.
100%.
Like never, like your immediate reaction was that it was probably angry.
Yep.
It was probably, but then almost every single time, you would come back and apologize.
Right.
Maybe not even like 10, 15 minutes later.
Yep.
You'd apologize to the person, you'd apologize to me as like your leader or camp counselor.
Yep.
But I'm like, man, if he could just figure out to think, take 5 minutes to think before he reacted, I feel like you'd have reacted the right way every single time. It took you that long. You just reacted and then thought and then apologized. You wouldn't have to apologize if you thought and then
rage, and then you get it out, and then once it's out, it's like,
oh wait, that I overreacted a little bit.
Gotta apologize. All right.
I was your camp counselor, and they came up to me, and a couple of the girls at one of the first meals in camp and said, "Can you help us prank the guys?" Mm-hmm. It was like you and Ryan and Jamie and Zach, both Zachs, that group of people. And I said no, because you have to understand these people, they're not gonna, if you prank them, not gonna, seriously, these guys, if you prank them, they're not going to like take the time to think and plan and come up with something clever to get you.
Right.
They're gonna react and do something stupid and probably hurtful.
Don't get even, get ahead. That was the mantra. Don't get even, get ahead.
So what these girls did was they had Oreo cookies and they put toothpaste in the middle.
Yep.
And they gave them to you.
We're just chilling. They bring us these Oreo cookies. We're like, oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. One of our friends bites into them. There's toothpaste in these. What? And like, they got you. And then like they ran away and I was like, bet, go get the milk. Let's get the milk. Right?
It's not that big of a deal.
So we came into camp knowing that we would need to prank someone. So first day of camp, we went and got milk. We put it in cabins and let the sun spoil it. So, because we knew something was gonna happen. So when they got the toothpaste, and it's like, oh, okay, perfect. So really, we were looking for an opportunity. And again, the whole thing is don't get even, get ahead, because you teach them a lesson, because we're the boss. We're the champs, we run this. So what happened was they had their little 242 small group time. You know, they're reading the Bible, talking about things are coming out, and we just come running out of the cabins.
While they're reading their Bible.
Milks in hand.
Talking about God, yeah.
And just, I mean like chunk, 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 onto their heads. They're screaming, we're laughing. We throw the milk cartons at them and then run away. And that was the end of that.
And exactly what I told them. And my favorite part about that story is when you had the Oreos, you like spit it out or threw it, and you had toothpaste on your beater that you were wearing.
I had a black beater, yes.
And you took it off and you hung it up in the cabin and said, I don't want to forget what they did, and I'm going to remember, and I'm going to get even. I partially blame myself, because like you said, we run this. You guys were freshmen. I was out of college. Jeff Berquist convinced me to come back and be a 242 leader of your small group. And first of all, they told me these freshman guys will grow out of it. They did not, clearly. Because you guys are, what are you, 26, 7?
I'm 27 now.
27 now?
Wow.
And you still, I mean,
I'm better.
You're better.
I'm
you're
better.
We'll go with
For
that.
sure better.
But then so I come and I have these freshman boys, and it's like these solid group of guys.
We believe in
You
Jesus.
all get along, you believe in Jesus, like hardcore, like during worship, you guys are in it,
During the
you're
spiritual
involved.
moments, you
guys
in
were
it.
great.
But when we're not spiritual, we're not
But
spiritual.
you guys were a little, I mean, I would say you guys didn't didn't do bad stuff. You just did whatever you wanted to.
Just our age stuff, just hooligan stuff.
But I told you, I remember this, and you remember this, I know, because you've still brought it up before. I said, this should be your youth group. You guys should be the leaders of this youth group. Make this youth group, I meant in like a positive way, like be an example, be like spiritual leaders, like, you know, love visitors and share with people, and like the youth group's gonna grow and be as strong in the Lord as you guys are and the way you lead it. And how did you take that?
Well, I feel like there's the one year where we took that to heart and we started sitting with like the lonely kids, the kids who didn't have anyone in service. We made sure that like we were always there for pre-service prayer, and we were praying. And so again, like in the spiritual moments, like we took that to heart. But in the other moments, when it's our team competing against other people, that stuff doesn't matter. Because we're here to win.
So you don't bring Jesus and the love of God into every area of your life.
So
it's only for Saturday night service.
One more quick story. My senior year, we're really excited for camp. We're the black team. We're ready for it. And so a friend of ours brought pre-workout. And so the thing about pre-workout is you're supposed to take it in doses as you get used to it. No, max dose right away. We're doing tug of war. It's us, and we're gonna dominate. And so our first match, we win it super easy. Our second match, we go against the heaviest team at camp. We end up losing, and it's like this black swarm just, some of us go off swearing, but you know what? I trust God. So I'm gonna go lay in the grass in the green pastures and thank him for what he's done. One of my team members was off on the side, and another guy came up to him and started yelling at him. He's a loud talker, so he probably wasn't yelling, but it just sounded like he was yelling, and all of a sudden something in me just snapped. And I go up to him, and he's like, you guys are just being babies. And I was like, John, we come here for 2 reasons, God and games. And my whole point in that story is 2 reasons. We come here to be spiritual, but we also come here to dominate and compete. And that was just the mindset.
But you've gotten over these things. You've matured now, right?
Now we all run a church, actually. So that's what's happened. We've
so
just gone up
if
the
all
ladder.
of this stuff makes you want to attend this church,
yes.
The same people that were doing all of that stuff are now running that church. Did you ever think you'd be there?
No, certainly not. No, I didn't want to be a pastor. That was the last thing I wanted to be. Because again, growing up, it's like, I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to have to shepherd them along. I'd rather just come in, wham, bam, gone, like done. But now you have to shepherd and hold their hand and help them. Like that was the last thing I wanted. But here I am. Praise be to God. I do love people.
You know what I think? I think because you were in DI, you went through DI, right?
Correct.
Sat under Jim Hammond, preached a lot. Pastor Jim did, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of Pastor Jim in you.
Yeah.
In that voice you just did.
So
I feel like it's something that he would do. And then you were in the studio the other day doing some preaching for St. Paul. Mm-hmm. And you had to keep reminding people, I'm not angry.
Yeah.
I'm just passionate. I'm not mad at you. And I feel like Pastor Jim has to do that every single message he preaches. Like, remind people 3 or 4 times, I'm not mad at you. I'm just passionate and I'm animated.
Well, by the grace of God, like God was able to take all the anger I had towards people and turn it into compassion. Like me wanting to help, me wanting to serve, me wanting to listen because I want what's best for you versus just breaking you down. So
I mean, it comes from a good place.
100%.
Like you want what's best for them, but you can't like force them to do that. So you have to like yell at them like, why can't you get this or do this?
And that's like when preaching, I have like the free reign to just be intense and get it and go. But if I'm like in a conversation with someone, it's usually like, just this last service, I spent 25 minutes listening to someone. Just listening.
That's impressive for Thomas.
Going on, doing, I'm just listening because I'm like, you know what, I esteem you and I'm listening to you and we'll just go with it. But again, younger Thomas, no way.
Never would have done that.
No way.
But I think one, as not just a pastor, but as a Christian, like we have to have that heart for people.
Amen.
God has a heart for people.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's enough of that listening in the world right now, right? Like there's a lot of people want to talk and get their point across. And I feel like that's honestly why you see, whether it's the political unrest or the riots and the things, like if you don't feel heard, you just get louder.
Exactly. My whole thing just in 2020 has been, are you listening more than you're talking?
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks they know what's going on. They think they have the answer, but it's like, if you would just listen to someone and then have a conversation, I think so much more good could be had, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I think that's great. That's why we're having this conversation right now.
I enjoy it, thank you.
So part of the conversation I want to talk to you about, not just because you are a black pastor, but you happen to be a black pastor. We've had conversations about race before.
Yep.
Part of all of that's going on in 2020,
Yeah.
racial tensions have been a huge part of that, which for me growing up, I didn't, not that I thought racism was completely over, but like definitely didn't see this coming.
Sure.
We've had conversations about racial tensions, especially when it happens here. You know, George Floyd, which was kind of the last straw, happened in our own backyard in Minneapolis. So what I love is what Jamie did that first Sunday after George Floyd died.
The lament service.
And he gave you and Ryan, and then the
Daryl.
keyboard Daryl ended up talking too. But space to communicate, space to really just be in your thoughts, to grieve, to share your thoughts. What was that service, and how did Jamie approach you, and how did that go, and do you feel like it went well? Are you glad that he did that? Like, was that good for you? Was that helpful?
So the lament service was the first weekend after the murder of George Floyd. And the whole service was geared towards feeling how you feel and expressing what you want to express freely. And so he said, yeah, man, we're just gonna give you time at the end of worship and just say whatever's on your heart and kind of like what your experiences have been. And so I got to kind of go into a little bit of my story, which not many people have heard, but like racism for me, obviously I'm black, but my father, not my biological father, my stepdad, who I call my dad, he's white and he's been there my entire life. And so growing up with a white dad, it was kind of like, well, he's my dad. I didn't know he wasn't my dad until I went to daycare and the woman said, no, he's not your dad. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, why do you have different skin colors? So for me growing up,
I still can't believe that.
It just wasn't a thing. Like, he was still my dad. And so my mom was really upset about that. But growing up in a suburban community, predominantly white, again, 4th grade, I remember it. Thomas, do you want to hear a black joke? And it's like, no. But they want to tell me the black joke. And the joke was, what's the difference between a park bench and a black man? A park bench can support a family of 4. Ah! And it's like...
In 4th grade?
4th grade. No, 4th grade.
It's ridiculous.
And it's like, it's something that just like hits you right in the heart. And it's like, so me as a black man, I'm less than a park bench.
And not to get like too like deep with that, but like speaking that into a 4th grader's life, like,
yes.
And hopefully you don't take it that seriously, and because you do have good parents that you can talk through things with, and a good family, a good church, support system, friends. But like, if you're hearing that kind of stuff at that young age, how do you grow up to be a like accomplished member of society, a contributing member to society, and sticking around and raising your, like, how do you put those expectations on black men at a young age?
Yeah.
and then you're surprised when they go into drugs or get arrested or leave their kids. Like,
Right.
this is the kind of stuff that's being told to them.
Yeah, right. Or of course you don't know your dad because you're black.
Yeah.
And of course your dad's white. Like just all the stereotypes. And again, these are my white friends that are telling me these jokes. And so it just messes with your mind. And it's like, obviously, right, you have a black population that they may not mix all the time with white people. So it's like you get the extremes of all white people are bad or all black people are thugs. But I'm like, I grew up with a white father, so it's like not all white people are bad.
I know at least one.
I
That's all right,
love
yeah.
my dad. He is my dad. And so the whole identity thing is like, I wasn't black enough for the black kids. I wasn't white enough for the white kids. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna find my identity in my God, in Jesus, and just kind of go from there. And that's, honestly, that was just my saving grace of, I can be who I wanna be, not who others think I should be. Because I never fit the stereotype. I never fit the mold. Well, Thomas, you talk white. It's like, well, what does that mean? How should I talk?
Yeah.
Do I need to be talked like a thug? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And so having to navigate these questions as people are constantly trying to put these boxes on me, I'm like, well, no, who am I? It's like, okay, but I'm one in Christ with Jesus.
But how do you do that? How do you actually, like, I grew up in the church too, so you hear that, find your identity in Christ.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard a lot of people say what that actually means.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, okay, I couldn't find my identity in the color of my skin or in what other people said I was, I had to find my identity in God.
Yeah.
What does that mean? If you did that, how did you do that?
So for me, my identity, I would coin this as like my worth, my significance, my influence, my identity in Jesus is something that I get my life from. A lot of people, well, I'm super good at sports, or maybe I'm really good looking, or maybe whatever, I'm musically talented. No, all those things are fleeting because there's people that are better, there's people that are worse. I'm like, no. I find it in the one who is all things, who is the greatest, but he serves everyone. And so my identity being in him, it's realizing that everyone else around me, just because they're white or black, they're no better or no less than I am. We are equals. Just because they're better at sports than me, no better, no less, we're still equals. Like, I can still see who they are. I see that they're better than me in this, but that doesn't mean they're better than me as a person. Yeah. And so for me, identity comes from Jesus meaning equal. And because we're equal, that means I can serve, that means I can relate, that means I can talk. Like, this was almost like a thing growing up. Like, well, you're a black guy, why are you talking to white girls? Like, that was a thing.
Yeah.
That was a thing growing up. But like, my first daycare that I went to, it was ran by a white woman and she had 4 white daughters. So talking to white girls wasn't anything like, ooh, it's just, they're people.
Yeah.
So why can't I talk to people?
Yeah.
But again, people want to try and box you, but it's like, and try and say your worth is this or that or the other. No, your worth is supreme, it is divine, it is godly, and you deserve everything.
How long did it take you maybe to figure out that you are not just the color of your skin?
Where is the mercy? Where is the love? Where's the justification?
All of our experiences are different, and all of our stories are valid.
This is a humanity problem as humans.
What do you want to see from people to show support?